Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Steph, and today I'm going to be talking about... What am I talking about? What do I say? How do I start this video? Today I'm going to be talking about how dramatically my lifestyle and my diet has changed in the last year and a half to 2 years. And I kind of always set the intention that I wasn't ever going to open up about it publicly, and I was never going to label myself. But here we are. And I am about to. It's Veganuary. I thought it would be the perfect time to share my journey, and I also just released a vegan ebook, so I'd really encourage you to have a little look at it. It's $9.99, the link is below. You get 35 recipes, breakfasts, lunches, dinners, desserts, snacks, sides. If you are thinking about becoming more plant-based, first of all watch this video and then go and download the ebook and try out some of the recipes, because I promise you, vegan food can be delicious if you know how to make it and how to prepare it. I'll kind of give some background info on my eating habits leading up to now. So I'm 22, and for most of my life I've been a meat eater. Well, actually more of a carnivore. I absolutely loved meat. I had a massive appetite growing up. I was always really skinny naturally, but I could eat whatever I wanted and put it away. Then when I changed to go to full-time dance college, I had an eating disorder and I had bulimia on and off for about 4 or 5 years. I had amazing treatment through the NHS, through my GP, through what I called my angel, which was a therapist that I saw weekly. I managed to get a healthier relationship with food and managed to recover fully from bulimia and anorexia. Then I stupidly decided to compete in a bikini competition. So the reason I say stupidly is because I had to count every macro and every calorie, and I had to train sometimes twice a day for it. And it was basically me finding a new way to restrict my food, which wasn't, in hindsight, probably the best idea. However, I managed to come out of that without any further issues of wanting to restrict further or anything like that. So all was good. Like I said, I was a massive carnivore, especially when I was competing. I was just like protein, and literally would eat packs of ham, packs of chicken, the cheap packs you could get for £1 in your local corner shop. I was almost anti-vegan. Like, I had a friend who was vegetarian, and me and my friends used to wind her up all the time. I remember at a party once I threw a sausage at her as a joke. I apologised later on in life. Wasn't funny, was at the time, but now looking back, if someone threw a sausage at me, offended. But yeah, I was really anti-vegan. I just didn't get it. I wasn't open-minded to it. I didn't understand it. Then I went away with Zana, one of my best friends, for the very first time, and she'd been on her journey for, I'd say, a year and a half prior to this moment. And we were at dinner, we were in the Isle of Wight, and I just turned to her and I said, "Why have you cut out meat?" And this is the first time I'd actually wanted to know the answers, and because I knew Zana before she was veggie and things like that, I was just interested as to know why. So she opened up about her journey and what made her change and that kind of thing, and I think she could tell that I was really open-minded to it. The more she told me, the more I asked, and the more I asked, the more I wanted to know. So that night we went home to our little cottage that we were staying in, and we watched a documentary, and the first one we watched was Cowspiracy. I cried the whole way through. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but it is quite controversial and quite shocking, and it is very one-sided, but it was a side that I'd never even known about before and never even thought about before. I'd almost removed myself from the situation. Like, meat just arrived on my plate. I had no idea how it got there. I had no idea the consequences of it. I had no idea. Because I wasn't killing it myself, I didn't have that connection to the animal, if you know what I mean. I'm gonna just stop now and say I'm not a preachy person. I would never force veganism on anyone. If someone asked me questions, I'd answer openly and honestly, but I would never try and make someone vegan, because for 20 years of my life, all I did was eat meat, and no one could have told me otherwise. I had to kind of progress on my own journey to get there. So now I'll share my experiences, but that's more to inspire people rather than to preach, if you know what I mean. Also, funnily enough, I'd never been an animal person. Like, yeah, I thought dogs were cute and I could like cuddle one and stuff. Big dogs kind of freaked me out. Rabbits, yeah, were cute. But other than that, I never kind of loved an animal. But then suddenly watching Cowspiracy, I was like, whoa, okay, animals are being killed. And I'd never thought about it in that way before. I know that sounds so stupid, but it's just, I'd removed myself from the situation. After that documentary, I was like, do you know what, I'm gonna see how I can go without eating meat. So then I got home and I went full throttle preach on everyone in my life. So my mum, my dad, my brother, everyone. And I was just like, everyone needs to cut out meat. We need to change the whole world, blah, 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 blah. So my mum turned to me and she was like, look, Steph, she was like, you can't preach. You have been vegetarian for 32 hours. And I was like, yeah. She was like, so see how long you can do it for before you start telling people how to live their lives. And I was like, yeah, alright, so you've got a point. Dan and I travelled a lot that year, and we were in the Maldives at the time. Prior to this, I thought, okay, I'm going to cut out meat, but if I want to have fish, I'll have fish. So when we were there, she was like, have you ever scuba dived before? And I had done one little trial and I absolutely loved it. So she was like, we're going to go diving. And I was like, amazing. Before we went diving, the night before on Netflix, we watched a documentary called Chasing Coral. And it's all about coral bleaching and how it's dying and things like that. It's an amazing documentary. It's terrifying and really scary and quite sad, but it's really informative and really interesting. So it's all these little things that I was watching and educating myself on. It was slowly changing my mind. We went scuba diving the next day and it was insane. We got down to this beautiful kind of dropping point from our boat, had all the kit on, and we reached this massive piece of coral, and it was booming with wildlife. It was multicoloured. There was an octopus, and an octopus like flew by me, and I was like, what? Then I saw a turtle, and I literally felt like all these little things were my friends, because I felt like I was in Finding Nemo. So from that day onwards, I couldn't eat fish, because when you're down there, it's so peaceful. It's almost like a form of meditation, really, because all you can hear is your breathing. And so I felt like I was meditating, and I felt like these fish were flying past me and looking me right in the eye, like they'd be this close and not be fazed by me, and I felt like I was one of them. And I was like, I can't eat you or your friends. So that's when I stopped eating fish. I came home, that was end of November. For the whole month of December, I was just veggie. Over Christmas, I had like a nut roast, but I still had Yorkshires and things like that. Then in January, the 1st of January, I decided I was going to challenge myself to do veganuary. So for the whole month, I was going to eat totally plant-based. I had this newfound love for cooking, and I can't lie, the reason why it took me a little while to transition into veganism is because of my history with restricted eating. I was worried that it was going to play on my mind too much, and I was going to overthink food again, and I was going to go back to that mindset of being obsessed. I had to go into the whole situation and be like, do you know what? This is a bigger problem than just my aesthetics and my body. It sounds so dramatic when I say it out loud, but I just had this epiphany that I wasn't eating for myself anymore, and I had a bigger purpose than that. Every mealtime, at least 3 times a day, I was saving an animal's life. I was doing my bit to make a difference. So obviously for the first week I was a little bit nervous. I knew that I had the support network that if ever I did feel that way, I could turn to my mum or some of my best friends and be like, look, I'm struggling and I'm falling back into old habits. But luckily that didn't happen. I had lost a bit of weight. I'd taken out a huge food group that is quite calorie dense, and I hadn't replaced it with anything else because I was still learning. Weight loss was not my goal at all, but it did happen, and I did lose weight and my clothes were a little bit bigger. Luckily that's back on, we're fine now. That was like a year ago. I've spent however many years trying to put on weight after being so thin, so I don't want to lose weight again. So I then had to educate myself and look into how I could replace that meat that was missing with other things like beans, tofu, lentils, to replace that protein source and also fill in those calories that I was missing. I just felt really powerful and strong in myself. My skin was glowing, my nails felt stronger, my hair was glossy and shiny, and I was really happy about it. And I was like, if that's how I feel after a month, how will I feel after 2? So then I went through February, March and April. Anyway, fast forward to now. Have I got sweat patches? Oh. But yeah, it wasn't easy at all. Like, there was moments when I craved chocolate and I did slip up a couple of times, and that's totally okay. I feel like if anyone is watching this that is looking to eat more plant-based, you don't have to be 100% perfect, ever. Making small changes in your life is going to be much easier for you long term, and it's still going to make a huge difference. If you're used to eating meat 3 times a day, every day of the week, and then suddenly you only have 1 meal with meat in, that's a huge difference to the industry and to animal agriculture and to saving animals' lives. I feel like when I first started eating plant-based, and even now sometimes, I feel pressure to be perfect and feel pressure that there's so many people watching me and calling me out on things, and if I'm not perfect, because I've opened up about it the tiniest bit, people feel like that's an open door for them to jump down at me. For example, I remember I was drinking a Copperberg with my family this summer, and I was just sipping it, you know, living my best life, and someone replied to my story like, you know, that's not vegan, you're a terrible vegan, blah 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 blah. I didn't know, and I felt so attacked, and then I felt awful in myself. And you don't have to feel like that at all. Even if you're making the smallest, tiniest teeniest change in your life, I don't think the world is going to get saved by everyone turning vegan at all. I don't think that's a realistic goal, and I know for a fact that's never going to happen. But if everyone or majority of people made small changes in their day-to-day lives, that would make a huge difference overall. First of all, it was the effects on the environment through the waste, the land used to feed the animals. Like, there's so much to talk about. The more you know, the more you want to learn. So that was the biggest point for me. And then because of that, I just felt like because I was saving so many animals' lives, I was more grateful for animals around me. After watching Cowspiracy, that was a massive turning point for me, and there's so many other documentaries out there that you can watch if you are interested in learning more. They were my two main reasons. So it was for the environmental side and the ethical side. Then the more I was fueling myself in a plant-based way, cutting out the dairy, the eggs and the meat, I felt totally different. I felt lighter, but I didn't feel that pain and that heaviness after a meal anymore. I felt like I had more energy. My skin stopped breaking out. I still get the odd spot around my period and when I'm hormonal and whatever. Then my hair, I've had massive problems with my hair because when I was struggling with bulimia, my hair fell out and I then dyed it blonde and I had bald patches and it broke off and it just was weak and brittle and dry and I was just malnourished and it just made my hair awful. And now, it doesn't look it today because it's a greasy mess, but it's growing again and it's thick again and it feels like it's healthier again, and I genuinely do feel like that is from the food that I've been eating. Another thing I will say is people are going to comment, they are going to do anything they can to wind you up to get a reaction if they don't understand the reasons why you're doing it. The lessons I've learned is read the audience. If you go full front defense, passion, preach on them, that's just going to give them more of a chance to wind you up. Luckily, I've grown up with an older brother my whole life. I can take banter, so I kind of just shrug it off and just like, oh yeah, I'm the alien, I'm the vegan, or odd one out. Stand up for yourself. Oh my god, of course. Definitely, like, stand up for yourself and the reasons why you're doing it, but just don't let it get to you. Just as long as you know in your heart the reasons why and what's got you to this point in life, if you're happy about it, then no one else's opinion should matter. It has fit into my lifestyle very easily, so I'm not going to sit here and be like, everyone try being vegan because it's really easy, it's just going to work for you, because it might not. Another reason why I have found it so easy is because London is the hub at the moment. It's so easy for me. There's vegan cafes everywhere. There's always a vegan option. There's always something I can have, and I think I am lucky to live so close to London because I know other places it's going to be a lot more difficult, but you just have to learn to have the confidence. Just don't be afraid to pick apart a menu, because if they have the ingredients, 9 times out of 10 they'll be happy to make you something. Don't feel difficult. Like, if you were allergic to something, you wouldn't feel difficult saying it. Be difficult, be inconvenient. That's what I do. I will also say, if you're going to do something, you don't have to be perfect. Don't put that pressure on yourself. Just do the best that you can do in your situation and in your life. That is the main tip that I will give you. One thing I will do is encourage you to try Veganuary and just see how you feel. Like I said, my ebook is on sale, so if you want to try any of the recipes, go hit that up. But yeah, I've been rambling on for too long now, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a cheeky thumbs up. Comment below on anything else you want to see. I'm kind of new to the YouTube game. I only really relaunched it a month or 2 ago, so let me know what you want to see, what you will find helpful. That's it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. See you later.